Butt jokes! Butt jokes for everybody! Hi, how are you? It's a Monday edition of the Morning Minute, 5280sportsnetwork.com and milehighsports.com. Look who's back. This guy right here. Not even sunburned or anything. Shawn Trotar. My name's Nate Lundy. Thanks for stopping by. All 3 days of the NFL draft now in the rearview mirror. Shawn, we'll get into a couple of specifics.
Was that a butt joke?
Overall, yes. Seriously, butt jokes for everybody. Overall thoughts?
I think it was a solid draft. I think this time around, John Elway did a good job filling the gaps that the Broncos needed to fill. Took some chances late in the draft, but I think they were chances that are worthwhile. Jake Butt, the person you mentioned, for me first and foremost among them. The John Mackey Award winner is the best tight end in the country last year. Tore the ACL in his bowl game. We talked about that debate at the time. Do guys like Christian McCaffrey and Leonard Fournette skipping their bowl games, was that a good thing for football? Well, I don't know if it is or it isn't just yet, but it was a good thing for them. And not doing so turned out to be a bad deal for Jake Butt. But for the Denver Broncos, a guy that would have been a top 3 round pick, falls them at the top of 5. They're going to have to wait a little while for him to get healthy, probably around September, maybe even late September. But if he's healthy, he could be the answer the Broncos have been looking for a tight end really for a very long time.
When you look across the overall draft picks, when you look at Friday, if you recall the Morning Minute that we did on Friday, I talked about the fact that Friday was the day that mattered to me, and it's the day that I think matters to all NFL teams because first-round picks, you tend to have those scouting reports, you tend to have those 32 standout guys. You get into day 2, now you're starting to build a team that is going to be a playoff contender and beyond because it's really making smart decisions there. I agree with Shawn. I think they made some smart decisions. I think John Elway had a plan. He stuck with it. He knew the holes that he needed to fill. Best player available at a position of need. And then you look at Carlos Henderson specifically, Shawn, a wide receiver, a guy that is a kick returner as well. They need a dynamic playmaker like that. I think they found one in Henderson, frankly.
Yeah, basically the same size as Emmanuel Sanders, maybe even a little bit more solidly built than Emmanuel Sanders, which is saying a lot because you've seen how tough Sanders is. Henderson looks to be that third receiving option until the Broncos find an opportunity to work their tight end, whoever that ends up being, into the mix. So I think Henderson was a really, really good addition there. Perhaps the selection of Langley, the cornerback out of Lamar, perhaps a bit of a reach. Most people who are experts there, I'll admit, I didn't see him even once. I didn't watch any Lamar football. But most people believe that was a 5th or a 6th round pick. But the Broncos, I think in this regard, have probably earned a little bit of credit where they haven't done the offensive line. They've done a really good job evaluating cornerbacks in the last few years, whether it's through free agency, through the draft, or even as undrafted college free agents. So I think if they saw something in Brendan Langley, there might be something to that pick that's at least worth waiting on.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we go forward, part of the reason I think there's not that buzz and that excitement and all of that is there were some picks that were made, including some of the top ones that were not the sexy picks within the draft, none of the fantasy football type impact. But at the same time, I think some of the trepidation that exists right now is still because you're waiting to see who the starting quarterback is going to be. And until you have that in the National Football League, you know that fans panic. That's what's been happening around here. So until a starter is named and everybody knows on that second game of the Monday night doubleheader to kick off the season on Monday, September 11th, until you know who's going to be under center, I think everybody's going to be a little bit cautious. Briefly, the Rockies, yes, I know they didn't pull it off in extra innings. They kind of wasted what had been some really good pitching efforts by not being able to get any runs scored. Nolan Arenado had a bad night. But at the same time, Shawn, they did what you're supposed to do. They won the series, 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and they walk into May in first place in the NL West. I don't know how many people had that pegged. I don't know if anybody had pegged that series last over the weekend, being at the top of the NL West, the Diamondbacks and the Rockies. And the Dodgers and the Giants still continue to spin their tires. If the Rockies can continue to play well, start building a bit of a gap, then they'll have a cushion for an occasional lull. Ian Desmond made it back last night, the Rockies' prized free agent, $70 million man. Now he's in the lineup again. That's a big bonus.
Colorado is off today. Then they start a 3-game set tomorrow night against San Diego and the Padres on the road. And then they'll be back home this weekend to take on the Diamondbacks. So a lot of baseball talk. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the week. Of course, the draft is dominating everything. All of our coverage, including the Broncos Blitz podcast with Jake and Ryan, is posted up at 5280sportsnetwork.com. But for now, for Shawn, I'm Nate. We'll see you.